Have you ever wondered what drives someone to become a serial killer? The story of Richard Chase, known as the Vampire of Sacramento, is not just a tale of horror, but a haunting reminder of how mental illness, when left untreated, can spiral into unimaginable darkness. In the mid-1970s, Sacramento, California, was gripped by a series of murders so grotesque that they would forever change the city's peaceful facade. Before I continue this video, please hit like and subscribe. It will help me create more videos like this. The problem began long before Chase's killing spree. As a child, he exhibited troubling signs: fire starting, animal cruelty, and an obsession with blood. By his teenage years, these disturbing behaviors had evolved into full-blown delusions. Chase believed his heart was shrinking, that his pulmonary artery had been stolen, and that his blood was turning to powder. These weren't just strange thoughts. They were the first threads in a tapestry of madness that would eventually lead to murder. In 1976, Chase was briefly institutionalized after injecting rabbit's blood into his veins. The doctors diagnosed him with paranoid schizophrenia, but due to the limitations of mental health care in the 1970s, he was released back into society. This decision would prove fatal for 6 innocent people. Chase's deteriorating mental state led him to believe that he needed to drink blood to survive, a delusion that would earn him his infamous nickname. The murders began on December 29, 1977. The first victim was Ambrose, a 51-year-old engineer, shot dead in his driveway in a drive-by shooting. Chase's second victim was Teresa Wallen, a 22-year-old pregnant woman. What he did to her body was beyond comprehension: mutilation, disembowelment, and drinking her blood. But the most horrific crime occurred on January 27, 1978, when Chase entered the home of 38-year-old Evelyn Mirath. Inside, he killed Evelyn, her 6-year-old son Jason, her friend Dan Meredith, and Evelyn's 22-month-old nephew David. The infant's body was found months later in a box near a church, having been subjected to unspeakable acts. Chase's method of choosing victims was chillingly arbitrary. He later told investigators that he only entered homes where the doors were unlocked, believing that a locked door meant he wasn't welcome, but an unlocked door was an invitation. This revelation sent shockwaves through Sacramento, causing residents to obsessively check their locks, and forever changing the city's trusting nature. The police investigation intensified as the body count rose. Chase's erratic behavior and distinctive appearance, gaunt, disheveled, and often covered in blood, made him stand out. Witnesses reported seeing a strange man in the vicinity of several crime scenes. The breakthrough came when a former neighbor recognized Chase's description in the newspaper and contacted authorities. On January 27, 1978, police arrested Chase in his apartment. What they found inside was straight out of a nightmare. The walls, floor, and ceiling were splattered with blood. Human and animal remains filled the refrigerator. Blenders contained horrific mixtures of blood and internal organs. Chase had been conducting his own twisted experiments, convinced that drinking blood would prevent his heart from shrinking. During his trial, Chase's mental state became the central focus. His defense team argued for a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, presenting evidence of his long-standing mental illness. However, the prosecution successfully argued that despite his severe mental illness, Chase was aware enough to select victims and attempt to avoid capture. The jury found him guilty of 6 counts of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to death. The resolution of this case came not from the justice system, but from Chase himself. On December 26, 1980, guards found him dead in his cell at San Quentin prison. He had accumulated his prescribed antidepressants and taken them all at once, ending his life through overdose. In his cell, they found rambling notes about UFOs, Nazi mind control, and the mafia, the persistent delusions that had never left him. The legacy of Richard Chase serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of untreated mental illness and the limitations of our mental health care system. His case led to significant changes in California's mental health laws and forced society to confront uncomfortable questions about the balance between individual rights and public safety. Today, the Vampire of Sacramento remains one of the most disturbing cases in American criminal history, not just for the brutality of the crimes, but for what it reveals about our society's handling of severe mental illness. The locked doors in Sacramento eventually reopened, but the city's innocence was forever lost. The case continues to influence criminal psychology studies and mental health policy discussions, reminding us that sometimes the most frightening monsters are created by our own systemic failures. The story of Richard Chase isn't just about a serial killer. It's about the fine line between sanity and madness, about how society deals with those who fall through the cracks, and about the devastating consequences when mental health care fails. It raises questions that still resonate today. How do we balance individual rights with public safety? At what point should intervention occur? And most importantly, how can we prevent such tragedies from happening again? As we reflect on this dark chapter in criminal history, perhaps the most important lesson is that early intervention in mental health crises isn't just about helping individuals, it's about protecting society as a whole. The blood-soaked apartment in Sacramento stands as a grim reminder of what can happen when we fail to address mental illness before it evolves into something far more dangerous. What do you think? Could this tragedy have been prevented with better mental health care? How do we balance personal freedom with public safety when it comes to severe mental illness? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more true crime stories that make us question everything we think we know about human nature.